Hello and welcome to your Thursday Loose Women. Lots to talk about on the show today, and joining me, Jane Moore, it's Frankie Bridge, Sinetra Sarkar and Nadia Sawalha. Coming up, it's set to be the showbiz wedding of the year as Brooklyn Beckham prepares to say I do to his fiancée this weekend. But after confessing their wedding worries, we're asking whether it's normal to have wobbles ahead of the big day.
Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Where did you find her?
You never thought that she composed herself before she went in the diary room and said, this is the person I want the public to see. Because you were getting the real deal. And that's why people liked her.
She was one of the country's most iconic and most quotable reality stars. A year on from Nikki Graham's death, we'll be joined by her mum, Sue. And at 1:20, she shot to fame as Mel in EastEnders, but away from the square, the peri-menopause left her struggling with some dramas of her own. Actress Tamzin Outhwaite joins us to support our menopause manifesto and reveals how she's learning to adapt to her new normal. First, though, we've been missing her here on the panel for the last few weeks. Sinetra is finally back.
Missed you. Don't know it's that long again.
Where have you been?
I've been doing another little job over in Budapest. So I got this really lovely 6-week stint on a new drama, Bank Heist, playing a robber. I mean, of all the things I've never played before, I'm on the other side of the law. And it was involving 6 weeks abroad. And I don't think I had enough time to process what to take and who I'll miss. And I literally got teleported out of my life into another country. I've never been to Hungary. I didn't really know the way they lived. The buildings were off the scale. I'm not even joking. You know the way we all go to Buckingham Palace and go, wow, they've got like 5 or 6 of them every few streets where you're going, what was going on here? They've got such an amazing history. It was a beautiful city. People are amazing. Their language is, I cannot. They've got Z's and S's and J's next to each other. Everything's like such a good. That's a word. You know, I was really struggling with the language because it's nothing like anything I've heard. And I thought, I mean, I did miss home, but I did also love being a stranger on my own for 6 weeks in a foreign country. It was a real novelty. So I was desperate to get back because I was missing out on. I didn't have any telly channels apart from the news. And, you know, there's only so much news you want to watch. So I got back and there was all this drama. And then I turned on Loose Women and I saw this table, this desk, tiny.
This is the way it always was.
Really?
Yeah, it's always, all the years, it's been like this.
I was so
it was
not
just
used to
pandemic
it.
madness when we were
So you've never done the squidgy table?
I know.
She's scared of it.
And we're allowed to do all that. Oh, I mean, how little wave. But yeah, those people.
Oh, well, welcome back. So
Thank
nice
you.
to
So
see
good to have you.
You look amazing. I love your earrings.
You guys are great.
Right. Chancellor Rishi Sunak has been accused of being out of touch after it was revealed that his wife, billionaire heiress Akshata Murthy, has non-dom status, which means she legally does not have to pay UK tax on the income that she earns outside of Britain. Now, with a combined worth of over £700 million, the news has stung many, given, of course, yesterday's national insurance hikes. So what we're asking today, and do, you know, email us in or tweet or whatever, can super rich MPs ever be truly relatable? What do you think, Nadia?
Well, I'm sure some could be, but I don't think this lot, I've not heard any of them say anything that's even vaguely relatable. I actually quite like Rishi Sunak. I think he comes across as quite a straight-talking, decent person. I don't think it's his fault that he's rich or that his wife's successful, and I wouldn't have any sort of resentment towards that. But I do think it's very, very difficult when you've lived a very privileged life. I mean, I remember about 6 months ago, Dominic Raab was on LBC and said with great pomposity, I don't believe anyone in this country will be choosing between heating and eating. Now, how can you possibly say that? And how can you possibly know what it means to lose that 20 quid a week universal credit when you are, you know, bathed in the kind of money that these people are? I am just so hungry to hear a different voice. Rees-Mogg pants the other day, again on the radio. He's so out of touch with what real life is like. Give me Angela Rayner, that's what I want.
But the problem is that the Rees-Moggs of the world and all these Etonians and boys from the public schools, they've all been groomed towards these positions. Whereas, you know, our mates and people that we know from state schools or even grammar schools, they're not really given the opportunities. And how are you meant to survive as a normal man on the street trying to become a politician when you have to wait to be re-elected? So you've got to support yourself, or you have to marry someone who can support you, with the hope that you will eventually get elected into the House of Commons, and then it's a really long journey. You know,
It's quite a full-time job to try and get there, and you're not getting any payment to that.
So there's the
We've got to change our system.
Yeah, so that's the catch-22, and it's also, we're always going to end up getting some people who don't relate to not having money at home.
And then the grief that you get there when you're in the job, of course, the spotlight that it puts onto to you and your family. I mean, the one thing I will say about Rishi Sunak, his wife comes from a very wealthy family, but, you know, he's probably middle class, I suppose we say in this country. You know, his dad was a GP, his mum was a pharmacist, but he was obviously a very bright boy, and he did go to private school, but, you know, he got places because of his intellect, I think. And
but
he was a Fulbright scholar.
I mean, he is richer than the Queen.
But it's like, do you get judged on who you're married? You know, his argument would be, my wife did not enter politics, I did. I mean, I don't know. I find it strange, this whole non-dom thing. I thought the clue was in the title that if you're non-dom, you don't live in this country. But obviously, isn't she living at number 11 Downing Street?
How did they even meet then?
Yeah,
they met at college in America.
I think they met abroad, and the stories. I mean, this is a super elite dynasty. This family are part of a Asian like they sort of have got away without the glare of the publicity that people normally get, because they are under the radar. They're like non-celebs. They're another level above. Like I say,
because they're so rich.
They're so rich. She is
but
richer
that's
than
not
the Queen.
I mean, again, you know, that's not their fault. Is
Exactly.
It?
Exactly.
So it's like you can't help what your background is, and I guess it's kind of.
But with the
what you
question,
do
can
with
they
it.
relate?
Probably not.
A
Very
lot
hard,
of the people that are talking in the government, when I hear them and I listen a lot to the radio, I hear nothing that they're relating to.
Yeah.
To be able to say people won't be choosing between heating and eating. You know, a friend of my sister's was saying yesterday, she works in a local food bank to us. And, you know, these are people with full-time jobs that are going in because they just cannot pay the mounting bills. It's like you were saying the other day, Jane, it's not just the oil. Everything is so expensive. And, you know, when you think back to that clip with Rishi Sunak when he didn't even know how to use his tap card, that is not relatable. You are not going to know what it actually... That means everything's delivered to you. That means you're never paying
I think you can have money if you've earned it or whatever, and still, so say for example, I know she's not an MP, but if you look at J.K. Rowling, who is incredibly wealthy, but you know she once had nothing, and you never forget having nothing,
but
do you
think there's a way of helping them rather than just criticising them? Like, if they were to, I know this sounds silly, but maybe got like, this is how much a pint of milk is this week, or, you know, this is how the prices people are dealing with are, because I don't think they do the shopping. They don't do an online shop. They haven't got a clue what 2 for 1 means at Lidl.
But then they don't help themselves, do they, by doing these silly picture opportunities and videos and whatever, of where he can even fill up his own car, and then he can, and it just angers people. It's not, like you say, it's not his fault. That's what he comes from. It's not her fault that's where she comes from. And they've been honest about the tax thing. But it's like, it's still going to annoy people, because they're like, you're telling us what to do, yet you can't even fill up your own car.
Because they've all got such a similar background. They're in an echo chamber, round and round.
A spokesman for Akshata Murthy, she's a citizen of India. It doesn't allow citizens to hold citizenship for another country, but it says, according to British law, she's treated as a non-dom. She has always and will continue to pay UK taxes on all her UK income. Now then, hands up, who likes a good gossip?
Never. None of us. We wouldn't. We just
I don't know what you're
wouldn't,
talking
Jane.
about. What is that?
Okay, well, there's this lady on TikTok who has revealed that the history of gossip is actually rooted in sexism.
Before men turned it into meaning idle backbiting talk, the term gossip actually meant close female friends. Back in the day, in the tight-knit communities of women performing collective tasks, their deep understanding and detailed knowledge of their societies made them quite powerful. This threatened the men, so they started propaganda depicting women gossiping as the villains. The church stepped in and enforced obedience with this. This is called a scold's bridle, or branks, and it would tear women's tongues if they tried to speak. Female friendships were one of the targets of the witch hunts, where accused women were forced under torture to denounce each other, friends turning in friends, daughters turning in their mothers. The idea that women hate each other was invented and perpetuated by men.
Wow.
Fascinating, isn't it?
And still now, a lot of men will be like that, won't they? If you're talking, they go, oh, what are you all gossiping about?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of power is going on now between you? Or what information are you
It does
sharing?
make people uncomfortable, though, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It's like that phrase of mother's meeting and all those sort of like, it's always about women and what are they going to
Well, we know being on here, there's always women gossip about us, or I've been in a girl band, oh, you've all got to hate each other, and you've all got to be talking
But you
about
see, I
each
think
other.
this is where we're going wrong, because gossip can be positive as well as negative, because I think sometimes gossip is it's quite a bonding experience when you're new in a room and you don't know anyone and you don't know each other. I think sometimes using gossip or chatting like a little bit like, oh God, the security guard didn't let me in, or he seems like a right one. We do tend to like.
Mind you, she's never said that about your security guards. I actually like how far you've gone with this. You think it's a social skill, and I agree with that.
It can be quite good for you, can't it?
Yeah.
And like, who among us, and I'm sure everybody at home, when you get like a text from a friend who go, give me a call, I've got some great gossip. Do you not get that like,
Does your mouth water, Jane?
feel that, what's it called? That
Dopamine hit.
Dopamine.
Yeah,
It's when you've got to wait for it as
endorphins or-
well. You're like, no, tell me now. I want to know now.
Yeah.
But don't you think that's so fascinating? Because that ties in with what you were saying, that the history of this was that women knew their society so well and were able to... See, when somebody brings... If it's vicious, horrible, nasty gossip, that's something different. But if somebody... Because my favourite thing in the whole world is people. So if somebody says to me, oh, did you know that... Oh, my God. And then you try and work out why and how and who. That's fascinating to me.
I think if it's not damaging,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's when it switches over
Well,
into
it's
being
dramatic.
able to ruin someone's
There
life.
are some things where you say, if somebody tells you and you say, I'm not going to gossip because it doesn't sit well.
I tell you what, Wayne loves to gossip. Honestly,
Really?
like after a night out, if Wayne's been out of his mates, the morning after, he spends the whole morning on the phone. Oh yeah, remember when this happened? When this person did that, and they love it. And I always say to him, I'm like, you gossip more than I do.
No way. I love
Yeah,
that.
he
That's a
loves
new
it.
man you've got there. That's a really good thing.
Would you tell a friend if there was gossip about a friend of yours? Would you?
Well, not yet. I have actually got one of my best friends. I've been friends with her for about
I'm settling in
15,
for this.
yeah, like
Look at us,
15
getting
odd
naughty.
years. Come in. And it was her hen do like a few years ago. And we all realised that we'd had this story about her after all these years, this piece of gossip that had gone around the whole of Essex, and we all knew it individually. We'd all heard it individually about her, but never told her. We never told her about it. We never asked her if it was true.
What was it? Come on.
Well,
She
got into a bit of an
It's half term.
entanglement with her gear stick.
Oh, okay.
Right. So imagine we're teenagers.
My mind is boggling.
Something happened with a gear stick.
Oh, right.
It's daytime TV. I won't go into it, but use your imagination.
That's such
And as
gossip.
teenagers,
That's a
you
lot
believe that
true.
kind of thing, don't you? And then as we got older, obviously we kind of all thought, oh, it can't possibly be real. And then I kind of thought about it and was like, actually, how would that happen? You know, yeah. And so for her hen do, we actually all bought it up, and I bought her a little gift to a nod towards this gossip. And she couldn't believe it. She'd never heard it. So we'd all individually heard this piece of gossip about her.
Like?
And she never knew about it.
And
she
was it true? That's what we want to know.
Well, of course it
Well,
wasn't.
it
Not if it's what I think it is, but I'm not sure I do.
I don't think it's like actually possible.
See,
I mean, I would have been impressed
if
if
it's
it
what I
was
think
true.
it is, I think it is
But
possible.
that is entertaining in what you've said. I don't think she would be offended that you're talking about it with such a... And I think actually the drama in gossip is what soap operas rely on.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? The whole
It's like
thing.
watching someone's, watching somebody else's gossip.
Yeah.
Well, all
I
I
did-
can
I
say,
I just wonder what it felt like for her to think all these years you've all thought I've done that.
But I
Yeah.
think we'd forgotten about it at points, and then we'd remember. And you know, you grow up, you realise it
a
wasn't
great hen
physically
night story,
possible.
yeah.
But but then I had to explain it to her poor mother, and I was like, "Well, it's fine, isn't it? Because it's not true.
Oh,
It's not
my
true. It's not true.
all
is
I
it?"
can say is, all you lot are glad you're not born in the 12th century. Because those
Yeah,
those
we'd have been
punishments we
screwed.
saw, jaw clamping, death by drowning,
Sounds
were
awful.
used against women who
Disgusting,
gossip.
isn't it?
Let that be a
awful.
lesson to you. Right, in just a moment, as Brooklyn Beckham reveals his pre-wedding worries, we're talking about our own wedding wobbles and find out which one of our grooms nearly missed out on the big day after being arrested and spending the night in a police cell. Welcome back. Still to come, she rose to fame during her appearance on Big Brother in 2006. Nikki Graham's mum, Sue, joins us to talk about her charismatic daughter. Plus, Tamsin Outhwaite will be joining us later in the show too. But it's competition time first, and if you fancy owning your very own holiday home, as well as £40,000 in cash, Natalie Anderson has all the details.
Dreaming of a stress-free staycation one day? Do you ever wonder how it would feel to have your own UK holiday home? Well, this two-part prize includes exactly that, and it could all be yours.
Mom, can we go to the beach?
Come on then.
Yes.
Courtesy of Haven, you could win a Swift Bordeaux exclusive holiday home. It comes with a fully fitted kitchen, lounge and decking. Your own UK bolt hole to visit whenever you want. And your running costs and site fees are included until the end of 2023.
And there's more good news. You can even pick which park to put it on with a choice of 21 UK locations. Just imagine having a beach like this on your doorstep.
There's lots of adventures to keep you and the family entertained for years to come. And not only could you be the proud owner of a lovely holiday home, you could also be 40 grand richer too. The cash is completely tax-free, so you can spend it on whatever you want. So for your chance to win, text PRIZE to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY14 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 22nd of April at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Now, it's set to be the showbiz wedding of the year, but ahead of their marriage this weekend, Brooklyn Beckham and his fiancée Nicola Peltz have confessed to some pre-wedding nerves.
What do you write?
Speech. I'm great at dancing. I'm not nervous about that.
I'm terrified for the first
Absolutely
dance.
not.
I can't dance.
Nick killed her.
Did you get pre-wedding wobbles?
You know what? I didn't. I wasn't nervous at all. I was more bothered about everyone else just having a really good time and all of that. But it wasn't until I remember the moment where my dad took my hand as I was about to walk down the aisle and my eyes started welling up. And I don't know why, I just had this thing that I just didn't want to cry, because I'd had all my makeup done and I was ready to start the day. And my biggest regret is that I then walked down the whole aisle just looking at the floor. So I've got no nice pictures of my dad and I
Because you were
walking down the aisle.
concentrating,
Yeah,
trying
because
not to...
I was just looking at the floor because I knew if I looked at anyone that I loved, they were just going to set me off. So I'd say that was like one of my biggest
And
things.
certainly if you'd looked at Wayne,
Yeah,
who was
sorry.
sobbing.
Oh, yeah, Wayne was at the end. Wayne was waiting for me at the end. Wayne was like inconsolable the whole wedding. He cried most of the day. He could barely get his speech out, and then he cried for
happy
weeks.
tears?
Well, I don't know, Jane.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit worried now. That's a lot of crying.
Just checking.
Imagine how I feel. He cried for weeks afterwards as well.
This started so well, and now it's like, we're all
Is he
going,
all right?
I think we
It's
might
still
need to have a
here,
gossip
guys.
about this.
For him, it wasn't just him, it was him, my mother-in-law and my sister. For about 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, every time they rang me, I'd be like, hello, and they'd be like, oh. So I don't know, maybe everyone was just devastated that I joined the family. I don't know. But he still holds that against me. So my message to anyone that's getting married would be just cry.
Just cry.
Just
Your
cry.
husband will never
Wear-
forgive you.
Wear
and-
waterproof makeup.
Yeah, wear waterproof makeup. Look up. When I say it to all of my friends. My friend got married a couple of weeks ago and I was like, look up, look up.
Oh.
And don't get a mirrored dance floor. Because I did that, because aesthetically it looked beautiful in the room. Did not think about any of my guests. Obviously, I had a long dress on, so it was fine. Everyone else, until they got drunk, could not step on the dance floor if they were wearing a dress.
Oh, God. What a mistake.
I know. What a mess. It looked great, though, Nadia. And it was a talking point, you know?
Well, I would have had pre-wedding wobbles if I'd known what was going to happen. So we got married, and then between getting married and going to the reception, Gary informed me that the night before, you know, we'd stayed in separate places, he'd been arrested and thrown in a police cell.
What?
I know. So he was at a hotel with all his mates. I won't bore you with the long story about how it happened, but basically there was a fire alarm. And he wouldn't leave the hotel till he knew that the kids were all right. And then they wouldn't let him know where the kids were. And anyway, he got Larry. And then it was all fine, and it was a false alarm. And he went to sleep, and then like that, 4 policemen got arrested, chucked into the cells underneath the place. And he was like, and he said at one point, I could see through the bars that it was getting daylight. We were getting married at 10 a.m.
Oh my God, I never knew that story.
And then he said, and I heard a milk float, the jangling of the, and he was going, I'm getting married. And they were like, oh, we've heard that excuse before. Anyway, blah, blah. Oh. In the end, they did let him out, thank goodness. And he was just like put on this roundabout in Windsor somewhere, had to ring his brother and say, I haven't got anything. It's like, now, I'm on a roundabout, I've been arrested, and his brother was like, very funny, and put the phone down.
So what did
anyway,
he do?
His brother had to meet him with his wedding clothes, and then he turns up at the
Did
thing,
he look
and
a
I
bit
went,
dishevelled?
I said, you look right state. I thought he was still drunk.
Oh my God.
That's such a fantastic story. I
Dear reader,
watching today.
Imagine if you'd have known before you got married.
I know.
Raging,
Dear reader, I married him. There you go. In just a moment, it's going to be an emotional chat as we speak to Big Brother star Nikki Graham's mum, Sue, as she opens up about her daughter's lifelong struggle with anorexia. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to your Thursday Loose Women. Alongside me, Jane Moore, it's Frankie Bridge, Sunetra Sarkar and Nadia Sawalha. Coming up, actress Tamsin Outhwaite reveals why her decision to take HRT before hitting the menopause was one of her best yet. Now, she was perhaps the most iconic Big Brother contestant of all time, thanks to her infectious personality and memorable one-liners. But behind closed doors, Nikki Graham was battling a lifelong struggle with anorexia. And sadly, she died last year at the age of 38. Well, tonight, a new documentary celebrating Nikki's life reveals for the first time the true extent of her illness.
This cross trainer, Nikki bought when it was announced that we were going into lockdown. Although where she lives here, they have a private gym, they announced pretty quick it was going to shut. And for Nikki, it just threw her into a panic. It became so difficult for her to eat if she didn't feel she'd done exercise.
Well, Nikki's mum, Sue, joins us now. Hi, Sue.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming in. I know this is an incredibly difficult conversation that we're about to have for you, but you wanted to be here, didn't you? Because it's sort of Nikki wanted to help other people.
Yes, she did. And before she died, she said that when I get well, I'm going to, in my spare time, go around to schools to talk to youngsters, to teenagers, to say, don't do this. There's no guarantees, it won't make you popular, it won't make you happy. It will just rob you of your life.
But it's interesting, that thing where you say she said, don't do this, as if it was a choice, but it wasn't really a choice for her, was it? And when did you first, how old was she when you first maybe noticed that there was something, wrong?
I first noticed when Nikki was about 7.5, maybe just before her 8th birthday, that she, first of all, it was the expression on her face. She just became terribly sad. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And then she just began to get smaller. And the school was saying that she was struggling in class. Because she couldn't concentrate on what was happening. And so that was really where the battle began then.
And did you get a diagnosis at that point? Or
I think I knew what was going on, but unfortunately, she was a victim of her time, 38, 39 years ago. It was unheard of, for children to
You were just
stop
getting told
eating.
off for not eating if you didn't finish your food, and there was
Well,
a sort
that's
of
right.
real, very relaxed view on people who did eat too much or people who didn't eat enough. And I don't think those words were ever referred to a lot in those
Do you
days.
feel like the outcome would have maybe been different if it was more commonly known for someone of her age?
I think for a lot of girls it may be. But I've done lots of thinking about this, and I somehow feel that in some ways this was Nikki's path, because the minute I took her to the doctor and he looked at her and said, "Tell me what you've had to eat today," and basically he was saying he's going through a phase, it's baddie eating. That was where the true battle began, because trying to get people to see what was going on. Just because she's young doesn't mean to say that she can't suffer as badly as a teenager or whatever.
I know this might sound like a strange thing to say, because obviously it's terribly sad what's happened to Nikki, but I found the documentary, I thought it was a beautiful story. I think it really was, because we were reminded of what an extraordinary person she was, wasn't she? I mean, just watching all those old clips in it, and I was imagining how difficult that must be for her. But also, it's very, very poignant, because it really does tell us so much that I think people still don't know about anorexia, and that's
true. And also what made Nikki tick, because it was her upbringing. I didn't raise her. I didn't. You know, I lost her. She disappeared at 8, and I kind of got her back full time when she was 18.
Because you said you say in the documentary you actually lost count of how many facilities she'd had to go to. What I find amazing is, and maybe I'm wrong, I never remember saying any of this in Big Brother. No. You just thought she was the happiest person in the world.
The only time I saw her talking about it on TV, I think she had a conversation with Vanessa.
Yes, yeah.
But, you know, this is what was so sweet about Nikki, is that she never was a victim.
She never portrayed herself as a victim, because I was a Big Brother fan, and I watched those, and she was at her happiest. And I believe she also, her friends in the documentary talk about thinking that was her at one of her happiest places. And I really enjoy the confidence she had. And I know we watched that clip again and again, but it still makes us all smile, and we just go, that's so
My
real.
daughters, who were tiny when she was on Big Brother, they come to me and show me clips of her, because she just had no, they do.
She was so authentic.
Yeah. One of the things you said there was the Nikki that everyone loved, and then there was the alter ego. Tell us something about the alter ego. What did it do to her?
Well, I said a moment ago that for some girls, maybe lads, you know, they'll get anorexia at a much younger age. I mean, it's getting worse, but I think Nikki, she was an expert. This is what I discovered from day one. She knew. She knew all about this illness, how to wear baggy clothes, how to put food in the socks in the pockets, go out for a walk and get shot of her meals. And to this day, I think it must have been in her.
Yeah.
And because we didn't have phones, it wasn't something she could Google or anything like that.
You say you believe she was
She
born
mastered
with
it.
Yeah.
She mastered the art of how to have this illness.
From the start.
Wow.
She was an expert. Yeah, but it did. When Nikki was good, she was great, but she was always a little bit troubled, always very aware of what she ate, and this horrible illness was so controlling.
It must have been so hard for you, because, I mean, one doctor at Great Ormond Street said she was the worst case he'd ever seen.
Yeah.
But as a mother, to see this, it's almost like a monster inside her that you can't do anything about. It must have been incredibly difficult for you.
Well, it was really, really tough, because I didn't just have Nikki. I had Natalie, Nikki's elder sister, at home. And it was really hard on her because the illness took me away.
Yeah.
And I tried whenever I possibly could. When Nikki was in a unit and she was being cared for and she was safe, I'd say to Natalie, quick, let's go away for a week. I need to recharge because I knew Nikki was safe. But it was so hard on Natalie. And it kind of left its mark. You know, it changed the relationship between Natalie and I. And it didn't matter how many times I said to Natalie, you know, had it have been you, I would have done exactly the same. But I think it really affected her badly. And
was Nikki quite accepting of going to therapy and in rehab? Was she actually, again, in a safer place in her head when she was there?
God, no. No, Nikki fought.
Really?
Oh, she gave the battle royal. Didn't matter which unit she was in. She gave it her best. Yeah. You know, still up to all the tricks, but the tricks had become much more clever. And it was only when she was about 16, I think, she ran away from a place. And I opened the front door and she was standing there. It was in the middle of winter, summer dress and flip-flops. And I said, why are you here? She said, I've run away. I said, Nikki, I said, come on. And
she was such a character. But I just want to say again, thank you so much, because I think you talking like this, you know, in lockdown, instances of eating disorders have shot up. And I think the documentary is really, really important. And thank you very, very much for coming to talk to us, because I know it's been incredibly difficult. So Nikki Graham, who is she? That airs tonight at 9 p.m. on Channel 4. And if you at home have been affected by Nikki's story, then all of the helplines that you need are on the website. Thanks again, Sue.
Thank you.
Coming up, she's the former EastEnders actress using her platform to break down the taboo surrounding menopause. Tamsin Outhwaite will be joining us. That's right after this.
I'm here in Hollywood, home to the rich and famous, the weird and the wonderful, a place where anything goes. I'm going to interview my own husband here in Los Angeles. Hello, darling.
Hi, darling.
Welcome to La La Land with me, Denise Welsh, only on Loose Women.
Welcome back. Well, that was a really powerful chat with Nikki Graham's mum, Sue, before the break. As I mentioned, anyone affected by it, there are helplines on our website. Now, coming up, she's using her platform to help break down the menopause taboo. Actress Tamsin Outhwaite is here to support our menopause manifesto. Plus, she's going to be revealing why she's been banned from getting married again by her own kids. But it's competition time first, and we've got a huge prize for you worth over £110,000. Natalie Anderson has all the details.
I've got a prize worth over £110,000 that could really put a spring in your step. We're giving you the chance to become the proud owner of your very own Haven holiday home, just like this one. You could win this brand new Swift Bordeaux exclusive holiday home. You get to choose between 2 or 3 bedrooms, and you also have a choice of 21 Haven parks to put your new home away from home on. And not only that, we're going to throw in some money too. There's £40,000 in tax-free cash to be won. So, what are you looking forward to today?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to the climbing wall.
Oh yeah, me too. Imagine all the fun you and your family could have. Owning your own holiday home and making memories for years to come.
Oh, you can do it! Yay! Well done!
So, for your chance to win £40,000 and a brand new holiday home, get entering now. For your chance to win, text PRIZE to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY14 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 22nd of April at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Good luck with that. Now then, she dealt with many a drama during her time on Albert Square, including this iconic moment.
No, I'm begging you. Don't leave me like this, please. I need you, Mel. Thank you.
Well, guess what, Ian? I don't have you. And I never have you.
Oof. But for Tamsin Outhwaite, life off-screen has been nearly just as dramatic recently after she began struggling with some pretty scary perimenopausal symptoms. Supporting our Menopause Manifesto campaign, Tamsin joins us now.
The music follows you around.
Yeah, exactly. So,
welcome. Thanks.
You look amazing.
Nice to see you all.
Look at you brimming with confidence. Tell us all about. So you're an actress on the telly, and everybody expects you to be confident all of the time. But you went through a bit of a phase recently, didn't you, where your confidence got quite badly knocked?
Yeah, I think. Well, as soon as you start to feel any kind of menopausal symptoms, I think that you feel like you're not in your own body. You're not in your own skin, and you don't feel like yourself. And I think that knocks anyone's confidence. But what happened, I found out in lockdown that I was probably having perimenopausal symptoms. And I had two particular friends that were phoning me up a lot going, I'm just so angry. It's the rage. And I was like, God, I really don't want to get like that. I don't want to be that woman. And then we started filming Julie Graham's Dumb Breeding while we were in lockdown.
I loved Dumb Breeding, by the way. It was so fantastic.
It's so well written. She's now written all of the full-length episodes, so we're still looking for a commission to actually do it properly.
We need this on
Yeah.
But you shot all this in lockdown.
We shot it all in lockdown.
Amazing.
And she's so clever. And it's Denise and myself and Angela Griffin. Julie Graham,
Tracy.
Alison Newman, Tracy Ann Oberman, really lovely cast, but all separately shot in our own, on an iPhone 7, with our own family.
Yeah.
And I think through reading this and
it's about women going through
it's about a group of
symptoms
friends going through the menopause. But of course, because we're in lockdown, we're all filming it on FaceTime to each other. And it was funny. It's really well written. And me and my family were finding out as we were filming it that, oh, I've got that. Well, I don't.
It's a bit like being on Loose Women.
That is honestly how I found out. Sitting here, listening to these conversations, I went,
hold on.
I've got that. And then these guys
because if you don't really know about it, and also it was quite taboo.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a taboo subject. And I remember asking my mum years ago, what did you get when you had the menopause? How did you feel? And she said, oh, I think I got a bit hot one day.
Yeah.
That's
my generation.
Yeah,
my mum's the same. So I don't remember. Don't remember anything
And
about
I don't know whether
No
they
idea.
went through it and didn't talk about it, or they just dealt with everything much better than we
But also,
did.
you were quite
that's
lucky
it.
you had a good female GP, didn't you? And it's sort of her specialist subject, because so many women get put on antidepressants.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So that's the
Really?
initial thing, because it sounds like it's depression. When you go to speak to your doctor about it, a lot of the symptoms sound like you're depressed.
Yeah.
And I phoned up my local GP because I was getting advice from lots of different people about going private. And I thought, I want to just go to my GP and see what the situation is. And I was trying to be preventative because I knew I was perimenopausal.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to get to the stage that my mates were at. So I went and I basically spoke to her over the phone, and she specialises in women's health. So I was really lucky.
You are so lucky.
And she said, she didn't say go and get your bloods done. She said, go through all of your menopause symptoms now. She talked me through all of it. And I didn't have every single one. The hot flushes
There's
weren't.
about 100 of them.
So many.
Oh, it's just unbelievable.
I know. And years ago, they used to say, "Oh, she went a bit funny at that age."
Yeah.
That's what they used to say about women going
bit
through
of a
menopause.
turn.
Had a turn, funny turn.
So it's quite unusual though for people to go on it as a preventative, isn't it?
Well,
I've
no,
not
but that's
heard that
more.
before.
But this is what Louise Newson has said. You know, our menopause doctor when she's on, that actually the perimenopausal stage is the point that you're supposed to take it.
Yeah, and also people
No
have said to me
Yeah.
that perimenopause is actually worse than menopause.
Yeah.
Because you're still
Right.
having your periods. You don't even
Yeah,
get rid of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
bad
exactly.
things.
The thing you can't
The
wait
thing
to
that
get
you
rid
can't wait
of.
to get rid of
Yeah.
is still there.
And the thing is, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the same for you, Tamsin, but my daughters were actually really hormonal at the same time. So I was getting like really rageful and I didn't realise, I thought it was all their fault. I'm really good at doing that.
We remember
and actually
that day.
clash of hormones.
It's the house of hormones.
It's horrendous.
When you're a menopausal woman and you've got teenagers, that is...
Are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, I mean, you're really selling it to me, guys. But to be fair, I'm going to know the ins and outs. I'm going to know what to do now.
You'll be right. I think the preparation's really important.
Because we're literally running out of time. I want to hear about this TV show, Freeze the Fear.
Oh, I'm fascinated by this.
So
This looks so good.
extreme athlete Wim Hof, you've done this. It's BBC One, April the 12th. Tell us what you're doing.
You'll see it from Tuesday night. And I don't want to ruin anything for you because I think you're in for a treat. One of the reasons that I thought that this would be a great thing to do is because everyone says cold therapy is really good for menopause as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to try all of it. And everyone I know that cold swims looks really vibrant.
I know,
and
it's so annoying.
That looks, and I'm missing out. But now I know. Now I know. So watch it.
So is it a bit like, is it like a challenge show? Or?
It's not, all I'm going to tell you is it's not a competition. There's no phone numbers and no one gets voted out.
Okay.
Right.
It's a group of people going through the experience at the same time.
Okay. And obviously you survived because you're sitting
I don't know how.
And Ice Hoff, he's sort of the king at this cold, freezing water therapies, isn't he?
Yeah,
So
he's
I'm
incredible.
looking forward to it.
Braver than me.
I don't want to give anything away.
No, clearly.
I get cold
be a
in
lot
the
of
studio.
screaming. Yes.
Okay, so cold water therapy is good for the menopause.
It really is.
And so is HRT, obviously, as well.
And also minimal amounts preventative.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. Very, very good advice. We've had lots of good advice on the show today. That is it. Nadia and Sunetra are back with you tomorrow alongside Christine and guest panellist Lady Lee Schurer. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.